It's time to start your engines and be part of the conversation. You can always ask the experts, Raffi and Dan Rosenberg, because it's now time for Clutch Radio. The show starts now.
Yes, it does. Oh, where'd you go, Dan?
There we go. That was
There's
weird.
your voice.
Right as soon as the show started.
I'm like, well, Dan, I didn't want to step on you while you were giving your intro.
Welcome to Clutch Radio, where microphones don't work.
Welcome to Mime Radio.
Starring Marcel Marceau.
Would there ever be such a thing? Mime Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, Mime Radio.
It's called Static.
Yeah. The show you're about to hear is absolutely accurate. The sounds
Yes.
you'll be hearing are accurate.
There's a guy stuck in a box. Welcome to Clutch Radio with Raffi and Dan. Over there is Raffi. Over here is Dan. It is Saturday, March 18th.
Yes, it is.
I don't know what number show this is, 100 and something or other. We've
Yeah.
done hundreds of these shows. And there's a lot to get to today. First off, I still have the Post-it note from last week. It's green, so
yes.
it's wow, I shouldn't use the greens in front of a green screen. The Skylark. Remember that Buick Skylark that Ray, our
Yes.
good friend Ray, had?
Yes.
This is it was a 93
Mm-hmm.
Buick Skylark. I predicted $1,800.
Yes.
You predicted $2,150,
Yes.
and Ray predicted $2,450.
Okay.
And we will have the result coming up soon.
Excellent. We'll see where now is it. Has it bid up so far, or is
It is sold.
Oh, it is sold.
This is the
Okay.
final number. Yes, the auction ended at Stokes. Ray did
Uh-huh.
very well at Stokes this week. He had a few cars there, and he even bought one at Stokes. So,
So
There's
Ray
exciting-
bought and sold.
yes, we have some exciting news from Ray, which is very good.
Ah.
Adam says, "Good morning, guys. Long time no see."
Good morning, Adam.
It has been 2 weeks.
Yes.
And Ray Pepper says, "Yeah."
You can always count on Ray to pepper the conversations.
There's the dad joke of the day. Now you have some cars on Bring a Trailer right now.
I do. I have quite a few, actually. Surprisingly, they just all converged. And so we get that overlap where I've got 4 going at the same time. And one of them is going to close today. So we're going to see that happen live in real time on Clutch Radio because it closes at 10:40 today. And what usually happens in that time is at the very end, people will be bidding on the
Look at
car.
that beauty.
There it is. So we have about 35 minutes to go. And this is a very, it's probably, if not the best in the world, one of the best in the world. This has 3,280 miles. It's basically a 2-owner car. It was managed through a dealer for sale to the next dealer. And then it auctioned at Gooding Auctions where the current owner purchased it. And the current owner is he specializes, the cars he has in his collection are low mile original example sports cars. And he's got some very nice cars, but this one is probably, I would suggest, the top shelf for this series. But I've seen a lot of 308s and 328s over the years, and this is among the best I've ever seen.
And look at this. The original sticker price, $62,850.
Yeah. Which in 1986, that was a lot of money. That's
actually less than the sticker price on my electric car.
Yes. And what you have to imagine is that in 1986, you could get in 86, you could get, for example, a really nice Shelby, because at that point, a Shelby was a 20-year-old car, and $66,000 or $65,000 brand new was premium sports car market. And that is what the Ferrari 328 does for you. Is it's a mid-engine 3.2 liter V8, and as far as Ferraris go, it's probably the most well-known because it was first introduced as the 308, where it was featured in the Magnum PI TV series that was enormously popular and made this particular Ferrari a very popular car.
Wow.
It's the owner is so particular about this car that he bought an entire new set, brand new, still in the box, set of wheels and new tires for it, and put those on the car so that he could preserve the original wheels and tires and not have them get damaged if and when he was driving the car.
Now, why don't more cars have that little feature?
That's a nice feature, isn't it? That's a little protective flap that folds down in the case of fuel filling where you get a fuel spill. And that flap is replaceable. You can replace that flap if it does get fuel saturated or dried out. Yeah, it's a nice little detail, little fuel apron.
Now this car is, as they say, in the wrapper.
Yes, and everything about it. Even there's a kick strip, stainless steel kick strip that goes up against where you rest your foot when you're not accelerating hard, and that kick strip still has the plastic on it. The zipper pouch for the rear trunk, the rear storage compartment, is absolutely perfect, and that's rare because usually those dry out. The zippers get brittle. It's the original glass. It's the original paint. We metered the paint, and
hey, that paint meter looks familiar.
Yes, thank you very much, Dan.
So that's where it is. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I've got it if you need it.
Don't need it. Keep it.
Thank you. But a beautiful car. And look, as far as collector grade automobiles go, this is the type of thing that people are looking for. They're looking for a car that is preserved so that they can decide what they want to do with it. Do they want to drive it? Do they want to put more miles on it? Or do they want to continue to keep it as a perfect show car?
Wow.
Yeah. And everything about it, the engine, the door jambs, I don't think this car has ever seen rain. There's a note in one of the invoices, car completed, but inclement weather, so we'll wait to drive it. That's the original interior. The leather is still supple, very soft. You know, the foam in the seats often dry out. These are in great shape. There's
the plastic on the kick plate.
Yeah. It's just everything about it is just beautifully preserved.
Now,
yeah,
the only way I could afford one of these is if I took that Fiero I have.
Yes.
They make a body kit.
Yes, they do.
You can turn it into a Ferrari.
They make a Ferrari 308 body kit that fits on top of the body of a Pontiac Fiero. And it actually, when it's done right, it actually looks pretty good. The proportions are pretty darn close. You park it next to a real one and you can tell the difference. But for the most part, it's pretty cleverly done.
Yeah.
But you can, now this is going to go quite a bit higher in the bidding as it moves along. But I can tell you that if you wanted a nice, gently used one, you can find one for 85 to 100, 110, which is certainly more affordable than one like this. This is going to be over 150. I think it already bid this morning at 155. It will find its buyer at some point. I'm not going to disclose what the reserve is, but we are getting there. So
now our good friend Charlie has one of these, but his is a 308, correct?
Yes. The 308, the difference is the 308 is the first series car with the 3-liter 8-cylinder, hence the term 308.
Ah.
And then and that car had slightly different trim. The bumpers are going to be black and recessed into the body. Here, the bumpers are painted. They're body colored, so they match the body, whatever the body color is. And there are other little details. Early 308s had different interior and slightly different body details, but this is the 328, and this is the last of this mid-engine series car. This car was so popular when it was first released that it changed everything about Ferrari, and literally every Ferrari since in the, let's just say, the general mechanical arrangement has since been a mid-engine car. Because prior to the Ferrari, prior to the 308, you did have the Ferrari Dino, which was the 246, a 2.46 cylinder. And that car was actually originally branded as a Dino and not as a Ferrari, because Ferrari did not want to compete directly with their front engine 12-cylinder models. So the 308 came out.
Just even the receipts.
Yes, every receipt, every little detail, all the ownership notations. You've got the dealer drive-off plate, you've got the temporary plate, you've got the invoice, you've got, I mean, literally everything.
$6,500 for the extra spare set of wheels.
Yes, and you can see, if you go back a couple of clicks, you'll see there's an invoice for paint work, and there's no paint. The car wasn't painted. A detailer detailed the car, but made note of every single thing he did in the detailing process, and it's really quite surprising. That's the one there. You just passed it. That you can read the details. You can zoom in and read some of the details, but the coating, all the chemical agents that were used, the cleaners, so that anybody knowing ahead of time that would do the detailing next would know what had been done. It's got a glass coating, it's got a wheel coating, it's just on and on. And this car has clear epoxy applied to the alloy castings under the car. So that helps to seal the alloy castings and also protect them from additional corrosion. They're the original tools in the tool roll. That's the original battery tender. You've got the jack and the belts and all of this stuff. The spare lights. That's the cover for the top. Those are the original wheels and tires. And they're impeccable. They've never been damaged. It's a pretty remarkable car. And we'll get to see it close. I'll be slightly distracted as the auction comes to the final minutes. And you may occasionally hear the bloop when the bid comes in. So there you go. And you have gone silent again, Dan.
No, I muted because I coughed. Day one documentation, kind of like he was planning for resale.
It's entirely possible. Lots of people keep day one documentation. I've only bought one car brand new in the history of my car purchases.
Wow.
And I had every single document in a notebook when the owner, the person who bought the car, came to buy it. And I proudly showed it to him, and I said, "Here's all the documentation." And he says, "Well, I don't need that stuff. You can just keep it."
Car guy, only one car? Hard to believe. Yeah. Hello from Ireland. Good morning, evening, everyone.
Good morning.
We have a Stump Raffi question from Ray.
Uh-oh.
Do we want to announce what the Skylark went? We'll do that afterwards. But let's do we haven't done a Stump Raffi in a long time.
Yeah, let's give it a roll.
See if we can stump Raffi.
And now it's time to stump Raffi.
All right.
All right.
So here's the question is, what would I pay $7,300 for that has 268,000 miles? Is a 2015, not a collector car and not a truck.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna cough
So,
again.
Well, I'll tell you what I would pay that for. And I think Ray is probably in the same lines because I'm going to say it would be either an Acura or a Lexus. And the majority of those miles from 2015, because that's not a long time to cover those miles, they would have to be highway miles. So basically, on highway miles with a proper maintenance schedule, I would say, because it's not a truck.
It's not a truck. Now it's got a 4.1 condition report, which is out of a 5. The MMR, which is the Manheim Market Report, is 8,500. So he bought it for 1,200 under MMR, which is a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's got 268,000 miles.
So
it's an 8-year-old car.
The other thing that it could be,
or vehicle, I'll say vehicle.
It could be a Mercedes diesel, and that's entirely possible if, again, it's got all its. But my money's on a Lexus. My money's on a high-end luxury Lexus that he took a position on. So that's my guess.
All right, high-end luxury Lexus. Now let's start. Oh, by the way, it's one owner and it runs perfect.
Wow.
We'll start with this as the first clue.
Wow. Okay, so that's a flared fender, and it's a pretty pronounced flared fender. It doesn't look like it's an SUV from that type of fender line. It's also a beaded and rolled fender, which is more. That's more a Mercedes look.
I'm going to back up a little. You ready?
Okay. Okay, that is a performance sedan.
Oh.
And it's got a tight catwalk. So that's more.
Oh, you can't see the tire. Hold on. Let me get rid of Ray's comment here. The tire might help.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
That could be an SUV then. That's an SUV or could be a minivan. Honda-ish now. No, that's a Toyota. That's a Toyota.
Not a Lexus. You're right. You got the right company. Lexus is Toyota.
That's a Camry. No, that's a Toyota. Wow.
It's a RAV4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Boy, I'll tell you what.
That's some high mileage for a RAV4.
That sure is. But if it's in great shape and has no issues, that is a nice buy.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Ray. You partially stumped Raffi. It took him a while to get there.
Yeah.
Adam, not even close.
What did Adam guess?
A Tesla.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, these high mile cars, they're almost always going to be Lexus or Acura, and I'm surprised that because this is a 4-cylinder car, 240,000 miles or 200,000+ miles. That's a lot of miles, but again, these were probably highway miles. There is a story of a car that was sold some years ago, and it had over 100,000 miles on the clock. But the owners had been towing it behind their motorhome. and they had all the records of the motorhome miles when they sold the car. They said the car only has 13,000 miles, but it showed on the clock.
Well, we had a Jeep that came in. I think I've told this story before at Felix Chevrolet in Los Angeles. and it had 380,000 miles on the clock,
Wow.
and it looked perfect. It was a Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah.
Well, the people didn't know how to disengage the car when they were towing it. So it racked up miles as they drove cross country several times over the last 5 years. And the car actually, the seats were, I mean, the car, it was brand new. They towed it all over the place. They never disengaged. So it racked up all those miles. And the owner of the dealership kept it because he had another Jeep. And he was like, you know what? I'm just going to use this Jeep as mine, because who cares how many miles it has? And by the way, a quick update, 17 minutes left, 17 and a half minutes left in the auction. So Raffi will be coming and going mentally.
Yes, I apologize for my distraction, but I will be watching this carefully.
I wish there was a way to do a smaller version of the window, because I would love to keep that going.
Yes, I don't think you can.
It kind of keeps the another bid was placed during the show.
Yes.
Like 5 minutes ago. It's now $160,000.
Yep.
Oh, look at this. I purchased a 308 GTS from Raffi on Bring a Trailer several years back. I'd like to add that many endorsements of Raffi's integrity, skills, personality, workmanship standards. I'd be happy to pay a premium for his Bring a Trailer offerings.
That's very nice.
Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, and it got thumbed up to 5 of them. Very nice.
Yeah, once you get 5, you get this nice yellow color
Yes.
behind you. Lowest mileage 320 out there, next to a museum car. For what it's worth, I love my 320. Drive it often and it stirs emotion. I have owned and still own supercars as well as some classics. This draws more attention and thumbs up than most every other car I've ever owned. Wow. Beautiful. Well, I'm hoping it goes for some crazy money during the show. That would be awesome to see.
That would be awesome to see.
Let's see. That makes us even smaller. That gets rid of us. All right. Let's see. What about that? Oh, but that just shows me.
That just shows you. That's all right.
All right. We'll come and go in and out of it. But if you have any questions, you can post them in the comments like Ray has, and Dan, not me, and Norn Iron 01 out of London, or out of Ireland, and our friend Adam. Ray also wants to say RAV4s are and have been very hot. Hard to get a 2015 anywhere to 10 grand. These are always 12 to 15 grand. So,
oh, really?
You've done well, Ray. We'll see how it does. Is that going to be your car of the week also? Ray also had some interesting stories about some storage of his Spider.
Oh,
he's got his favorite Spider.
Yes,
the super rare one.
Mm-hmm.
How do I pull that one up? Oh, I know how. But he went out and did this. Here it comes. La da da da. Share screen. He got himself one of these.
Oh my!
I guess being delivered in his backyard. So he's going to store it. He's putting it to bed, basically.
And how long will it be in storage there?
His goal is to store it until, here's what it says, goes to sleep until her 25th birthday. And then she'll be worth $100K. So if it's an 05, he's parking it till 2030.
2030. Okay.
My mic is again. Yes, he's going to park it till 2030.
Well, I'll say this: the general idea around a car that is that rare is that the longer you keep it in safe, enclosed, protected environment, the more desirable it becomes. That's the last of that series and a desirable car. Now, it doesn't necessarily have the following that many other cars have, but Ray will always be able to get his money and then some out of it without question. Japanese cars are becoming more and more collectible. There is a major Japanese car book that just came out, and it's 5 volumes. It's like this big. It looks like a coffee maker sitting on your desk. There's 4 volumes, and it covers all of the significant Japanese performance vehicles, including the MR2 and MR2, and so these cars are becoming more and more important, more valuable as collectors realize that people really loved them back then, and they want the best examples that they can find today. So low mile original cars that have not been modified or abused are going to be chasing the big money.
Speaking of low mileage cars, the 1993 Buick Skylark.
Yes. What did
we had the bid on? There's the bid right here.
What is the answer? Yes, so, those were the numbers we suggested.
Ray 2450, Raffi 2150, and Dan 1800.
Yes.
The winner is almost spot on, as a matter of fact. And Ray knows his cars because Ray's the winner.
Oh.
2504.
2504. That's wonderful. Good job, Ray.
He's like, oh, I won. You knew that. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't remember what he had said.
He may have forgotten that's what he put in. And where was I? Was it 21?
You were 2150. I was 1800. I didn't think it would get that much money just because it was so old and it's not that popular of a car, and it's a coupe.
Well, you know,
not a stick.
You're not going to find this car anymore. Good job, Ray. Ray paid $650 for it. So even if he had a little bit more money in it, he triples his money, which is great. You do that 4 or 5 times a week, and you're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this car is if you specifically went looking for one that was in this condition and you went to buy it at retail, you would struggle to find one that was less than $3,000. So the person that bought it is probably just going to give it a really, really good detailing and maybe even send it on its way at retail for $39.95. So there's money left in it for someone else. And down the road, there may even be some money left in it for someone else. But look, that's a car that'll do another 60,000 miles without any problem. So to get a car that's going to give you another 60,000 miles for $4,000 is pretty darn good.
Yeah. And the Stokes auction is, sometimes dealers buy there, and it's a public auction. So mainly it's public. Yep. But Ray did buy a car there that he'll probably be able to flip as well. I'm starting to think the Stealth might be good to go there.
It's not a bad idea. It presents well visually.
It needs to go. And I don't know that Bring a Trailer is the right home for it, but
I would love to put it on Bring a Trailer. I think it could do really well there.
We got to get that sucker out of here.
Yep, I understand.
The weather's getting nice. It's almost time.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something else too that's really interesting is the market is changing quite a bit. Now, we've seen over the past 2 weeks what's been happening with the banking industry. And that's causing a lot of people with some extra cash on hand to pull their money. And now they need a place to park their dough. Well, it turns out that assets like collector cars, like expensive watches, like et cetera, other things, these are starting to get a little bit more interest. In the past 2 weeks, we've seen some intensity and numbers come up on some sales. So if you've got, let's just say $450,000 in a bank, and that account is only insured, FDIC insured up to $250,000, you might feel a little bit anxious about having that money in a bank. And so you might be inclined to pull it and invest in a collector vehicle. Now, if you look at the collector vehicle uh, charts for stability over the long term, most investments in collector vehicles have continued to go up, or at the very least be steady. The largest losses in a collector vehicle are when people buy at the peak of the market and sell at the bottom of the market. And sometimes those losses that I've seen have been as high as 30%. Well, a 30% loss is perfectly fine if you compare it against 60, 70, 80, or 100% loss that is possible under some circumstances in certain stocks and certain investments. So the collector car market is a nice place to park some cash, especially if you enjoy old cars, because you can drive the vehicle, you can show the vehicle, you can share it with friends. There's a lot of value in that.
And it never, like you said, cars never go to zero.
No, they don't. They are always going to be worth something. So
Yeah.
you'll never see a zero, you'll never see 100% loss with a car because as long as you insure it, even if you total it, it's not 100% loss because you'll get some money back. There's only so much insurance on certain investments that you can get. But with automobiles, you can get 100% recovery, sometimes even more than 100% recovery, because I do know people who have bought cars, owned them for several years. The value of the vehicle went up and the vehicle was totaled in an accident. And the insurance paid off more than the person paid for it.
Yeah.
There's also some instances where people have totaled the car through their insurance and then bought it back and spent the extra money and time to have the car professionally repaired and then restored and brought back to their use.
Yeah, and it is amazing how the values have changed so much. Ray talks about it earlier here. Used car prices are the highest.
Yeah, you lost
it
your
again.
microphone again.
I have to figure out why this is happening because I just rebooted my computer, so it's not that. The camera keeps flickering too.
Yeah.
One auction at Mannheim only had 800. They used to have 2,600. There's no inventory, less and less trades because people can't afford to buy a new car.
Yes.
Inflation's crushing the consumer. Well, the inflation is partially cost of cars is a big
Yes.
part of it. Corporate greed and profit is another part of it.
Yep.
Gas is the third part of it. So you want to
All
get rid
true.
of some of that. There's easy ways to remedy this.
Yeah.
But
and the other thing you want to keep in mind is with a collector car, there is some cost associated with it. You do have to insure it. You do have to store it unless you're able to keep it at your home. And there are maintenance costs, general costs associated with your ownership. But for the most part, for a collector car, for most vehicles, those maintenance costs are absorbed by the increase in value. And again, in general used cars, the general used car market is actually quite strong now. Even at retail, as Ray points out, the number of people holding on to their cars is increasing. So inventory is dropping down.
Now, totally unrelated question, but this is a great question. Robert Danielson, who bought Chris's pickup truck.
Yes.
84 Chevy Sierra 2500, 150,000 miles, or maybe 250. So I'm guessing it says 50 on the clock. So it's not really sure what it is. Fairly rough condition, straight body except for 2 small dents, original paint, manual transmission, runs great. Should I paint it for $5,000 before selling or sell it as is? I would think painting it, spending $5,000 on it, you'll not get an extra $5,000 back.
I'm going to agree with Dan. I would not spend the money to paint it. What I would do is I would get invest 10% of that and buy a $500 extensive detailing on it. So you don't hide any of the flaws in the finish, but you treat it with a lot of care. And so that anybody comes to see it can see that it's been an honest work truck, but it's been well maintained, properly cared for, looks good. People can forgive flaws when the use is associated with those flaws. If it's been abused and neglected, people won't forgive them. So
Right.
you want to make it look as good as it possibly can.
Very good point. You can put lipstick on a pig, as they say,
Yes.
or polish a turd is the other thing
Yeah.
to say.
Well, I can say this: yes, and Dan has pointed out that the aftermarket parts business may see a boom in restoring present cars for less than buying new. That has happened in the past. Dan's absolutely correct, where the aftermarket for restoration has increased, and we're seeing more of that already because I hear from friends who run restoration or specialty shops, and boy, they are busier than ever. And seems
Absolutely.
like people are willing to pay the money to get their car as nice as possible.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm getting over a head cold for the past week, and so this cough keeps coming back while I'm talking.
Does anybody ever get a foot cold or an arm cold? Everything is a head cold. There's a head cold and the chest cold. Boy, you really are coughing it up.
Because of course now you're distracted, so this has to happen.
Yes, of course. You can't. You got to vamp while I'm looking at now. Our high bid right now is 175, and
Wow.
we are now inside the 2-minute mark. So I have to start paying attention to see what's going to happen next. We're at 175. We're closing in fast. Let's see what happens as the 2-minute clock starts ticking down.
147.
Yes, this is always the most worrisome time, is to see if bids are going to come in.
Now, will you announce that the reserve has been lifted if it has in fact passed it?
I will not. In the case of this car, I will not. I'm going to wait and see what happens, and keeping an eye on it and making sure I have a.
Now, for everybody who doesn't know,
we lost
my camera went in and out again. Who doesn't know, as soon as somebody bids, like right now it's a minute 8, minute 7. As soon as somebody bids, it immediately adds 2 minutes.
That's right. And
So
so
it goes back to the 2-minute.
now at 1 minute, the red bar appears, and this is where I start to get nervous and worried about what's going to happen. Is somebody going to bid above BJ's bid? We will see. So this is where it gets interesting.
There you go. So we're back to 2 minutes. John 11.
John 11 is
177, 328. Look at that.
There you go.
Somebody should bid $198,632.80. That would be a 1986 328.
That would be yeah. I don't think you can bid in pennies though on Brad.
I do like when people get creative with their bids.
My suggestion is that the next bid is going to be by BJ, and his bid is going to be 180 exactly. That's my BJ is thinking about it. He's wondering if he wants to step up to 180. Now, keep in mind, a 180 bid is actually 185 to the buyer, because they pay a $5,000 premium to buy anything over $100,000 on Bring a Trailer.
Because it is 5% with a maximum of $5,000.
That is correct.
This is interesting stuff.
It is exciting.
Adam says those are some very interesting bids, which they are. I like to bid, like I would have been the first bidder on this at $1,986.
That would have been fun.
And I would have stopped.
Yeah.
That way I could say I bid.
The other bid that might have happened is the 3,280 bid, or the 3,300 bid for the miles of the vehicle. Okay, we're coming down to the last seconds here. Is BJ going to come in or not? Yep.
There you go.
There's BJ with 180.
Boy, you're you know this game.
Yeah, it's you see enough of these. Oh, did you hear that sound?
Yes.
That means we had a bid. So sometimes that sound comes in, sometimes it's on delay, but I have my speaker set up to let me know when a bid comes in. Now, with 4 auctions going, it's possible another bid came in as well. But the fact that we're watching it now, hopefully, let's see if we see another.
Now, just so people realize, And so Ray's saying fast day, let's go to Vegas with the profits and eat buffet.
Yeah.
These are not Raffi's cars.
That's correct.
Raffi represents the sellers.
Right. And that's an important distinction here because I've sold quite a few cars on Bring a Trailer, both my own cars, some of Dan's cars, and some of my friends' cars as well. I do this because I have a unique series of skills that align very well with being able to understand unusual, special interest cars, classic cars, sports cars, and I enjoy doing it. So
he has a very particular set of skills.
Yeah. So let's see where we go. Now, John could be in. My guess is he'd come in with another 328 bid, which might be 181 328 or 182 328. I hope he'll be in at that. I've actually spoken to BJ, so I know that he's really interested in the car. All right, we're running down the clock here. Come on, guys.
The other thing that makes this interesting is that people that are interested in the cars will reach out and they might come look at the car.
181.
Oh, Rabina came back in.
Yeah.
The 666 guy.
Yeah. Now the question is, BJ will probably, with a $1,000 bid above him, BJ will probably come in at 182. He's been playing pretty hard, unless John wants to come back. I'd love to see at this point. I'd love to see more than two people playing for it, because we've got 3 in the game, and that's good. That's a good sign. So hopefully we'll likely get another bid, and it'll probably be 182. But it's going to be interesting to see who plays that bid. I know BJ's still in the game. John is the wild card. I've not seen him before, so I don't know what he's going to step in with.
Now, by the way, if you've ever wondered what they're saying at an auction, with hey, but this is what they're saying, just very, very fast.
Yes. How many body? And now we got 50. So
right. This is, we slow it down. They're having this conversation.
I'm going to have a fuller day.
John, will it be Grabina?
Yes.
I think someone's going to come in with a knockout bid here.
Well, a knockout bid would probably be 185.
185, 190.
Yeah, that would be a big boost. Let's see. Hopefully BJ's still in the game here. I'm hoping he's in it. Come on, don't let $1,000 get in the way.
Yeah, that's crazy. $1,000 would let that happen.
Wow. Looks like it might.
I hope his internet didn't go down.
Wow. Come on, guys, pay attention. Now we'll do a last minute check for bids, because that might, let me refresh my screen here.
Wow.
Sold.
I thought for sure there was going to be a couple more coming in.
I thought so too. Sold for 181. So I'm going to write the congratulations here. I got to wait till the sold pops up in the yellow bar. There it goes.
Oh, not bid to.
No.
So they crossed the reserve.
It's sold. Sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so the reserve. So what was the reserve? 180?
The reserve was 180.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Because you weren't going to release the reserve, but you didn't have to because. But so this guy didn't know that he was at reserve.
No, nobody knew.
So now the guy who lost by $1,000 is like, oh my God, I'm an idiot.
Yes, he is.
$1,000 more. I could have had that, although it could have kept going.
It could have, but that he certainly had the opportunity.
And Eric says, T-Jat. Wait, what? Oh, that was cool to watch.
Yes.
Okay. I really thought that was going to take us out for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to go for a while. $1,000 made the difference. That is insane. That's why you never know. I sometimes watch, I don't know why. There's a guy, his name is Vegas Matt on Facebook and other social media things. And all he does is he plays slot machines, and he streams it live.
Oh,
And he showed a guy who had queen, king, jack, and 10 of hearts.
oh
And he's
wow.
playing on one that has 12x on every, he's playing like it's 10 of them. So you have your main bar and you hold, and then there's like 10 other screens, and they were all 12x. And he's one ace of hearts away from a royal straight flush, the highest payout you can get. And he's watching the video and he's like, "Oh, this is great. This is awesome. This is awesome." He forgets to hold the 4 cards, and he hits deal. And the first card that comes up is an ace of hearts. And it came up like 4 times. The guy would have had 4 royal straight flushes at 12 times the win. And that's just heartbreaking. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But it goes to, gambling and betting on cars. Sometimes you're just one bid away. I had a car I really wanted a couple of years ago at one of the auctions. And I was like, you know what? I'll go up to $2,000. And I'd set my bid at $2,000. And then I forgot to tune in and watch. And it sold for exactly $2,000 because someone else had bid that right before I did. And they were obviously not, they were a proxy bid like I was. Had I tuned into the auction live, I could have won the car for $50 more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, you don't know, because if I would have bid that 50 more, someone else might have come in and bid. That other guy might have been watching live also. It might have gone 2,100. You just never know. But of course, I'm bidding on cars that are $2,000, not $181,000.
Yeah, auctions are really interesting. The online auction community is fascinating. It's a very different way of looking at a car, both from a buying perspective, because you can't, unless you've gone out to see it, you can't physically put your eyes on it. So you have to trust what's happening with the community and with what's happening with the pictures and the representation and all that. And that's not always easy. So people tend to hedge a little bit. And who knows what's happening behind the scenes? Maybe there's a group of people in the room there. They're saying, "Come on, man, do it." Maybe they're saying, "That's it. I'm shutting off." A lot of people, when they reach their number, they shut it off, and they don't look, because they don't want to be pushed into doing more. And I've seen that with field auctions, where people are standing out there and the auctioneer is pumping you. You literally have to turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will get convinced, because that's these guys' job. They'll get right in you. Come on, don't let 500 get in the way. It's 500 only. Just pull it to 500. Pull it to 500. And then you think, well, what the hell? It's only 500. And then you're in at 500. How many? And it goes over to the next guy. The next guy is working the room as well for the other people, and their job is to get those bids up as high as possible.
Yeah. And now Dan wants to know what the increment for the next bid was. It's like $100, right? In theory.
Well, at that level, it's 1,000.
It's
above
1,000.
100,000. It's $1,000 increments. I think at that range, people generally are bidding to buy anyway, because they're in at the 5K plus. So I suspect that what might have happened with some of the others is that people may have backed away thinking, I don't think it's going to hit reserve. But I haven't seen comments from people that say, wow, I thought it was going to be higher. But keep in mind, this car sold for 186K with the reserve. Oh, and there's the owner. I'm going to have to put you on mute for a sec.
All right.
I want to talk to him, so you can carry the show for now.
All right. I will continue talking. One thing I wanted to pull up really quick. Oh, Raffi's even going to walk away. We just get to see his screen for a minute. Is other things that Raffi has on Bring a Trailer right now, because it's pretty impressive. He's got 4 cars running, and one of them is our friend Jake's. Where did it go? Where's Raffi's name? If I can pull up Raffi's name here, it'll show me all of his exciting things that he has going. It is funny to see that Raffi's screen is just gone. All right, we'll bring this back. We'll click on Raffi. So he's got another Ferrari that ends in 4 days. He's got an 87 Corvette that is a museum car. It's a very famous car in the oh, I see what's happening. It's not showing that one. There we go. Share this tab instead. There we go. 36,000 mile Ferrari Testarossa, 87 Chevy Corvette. I don't think Jake is tuned in today. I haven't heard from Jake. And also this car, a 71 MGB GT. I actually like this one. It's a cool little car. I've only seen these in convertibles typically. You don't usually see them in the hardtop. This one's down in California. So Raffi's got 3. And we mentioned a couple of weeks ago that Raffi had this collection of Matchbox cars that he was selling on behalf of a friend who bought them from an estate. And it's not just a collection, it's also tools to make them and paint them and repair them. 2,786 pieces of cars plus tools and accessories and cases. I mean, this is an amazing collection. It sold for $12,000. $12,000. And in the questions, let's go back to the questions. It's just me without Raffi. We'll leave Raffi's chair empty for now. I think that looks good. 4-speed granny. Do you call it a 3-speed or 4-speed transmission? Well, if your grandmother's 4 speeds, I guess I'd go 3 because one of them's reverse. No, I'm not sure if I understand the question exactly, but a 4-speed granny would be a 4-speed transmission, would it not? Because reverse does not count as one of the speeds. So it's always how many forward speeds you have. Woe is right, Norn Iron 01. Forgot the underscore. $12,000. So if you've got Matchbox cars sitting around your house, there are some valuable cars there for sure. Absolute valuable cars. And it looks like Raffi's going to come back.
Okay. Well, the owner was happy.
Oh, good.
So that's good. There's always that concern is that, wow, I should have asked for more, or oh, we should have gotten more on it. But he's happy with that. And after we hang up the phone, I will, I'll get his bank information and we'll go through the process. The after auction process usually takes about 2 weeks. And then the car is picked up or dropped off, or the owner sometimes can come and pick it up if they're local. I haven't seen yet on my email where this owner is. So it says it's sold. And let's see. He's in the 210 area code. So that's it. Well, it used to be that you'd be able to tell where that person was from their area code, but not so much anymore. But that's the next step. And then after our show is finished, which is in 3 minutes, I get to hop in the 1974 Oldsmobile and take it over to where it's going to be picked up for transport to the new owner in Houston, Texas.
That's awesome that that's sold.
I know. I was so happy. So happy. It worked out really well.
All right. So we had a question earlier.
Yeah.
And I tried to answer it. 4-speed granny. Do you call it a 3-speed transmission or 4-speed transmission? And then he said, I see people calling 4-speed grannies 3 speeds all the time. I'm not sure. Granny, tranny.
So if he's referring to granny, there's what's called a granny gear, which is the low, which is only good in a truck for like steep incline or digging out, or if you're torque yanking something, stump pulling. But a 3-speed is generally, there's only 3 driving speeds. So you wouldn't call reverse a speed.
That's what I said.
I generally don't call the granny gear a speed, because you're really not at speed. It's a working gear, just like reverse. Reverse is actually a working gear. It's a maneuvering gear. It's not a speed gear. So that's the distinction I would use. It's a 3-speed, or you can call it, if you call it a 4-speed, granny low is also a suitable description. Yeah.
All right. I thought he was a mistyping tranny and granny.
No, the granny gear is actually it's been around a long time, but it goes back quite a ways, because they call it the granny gear because that's the speed
Your grandmother would drive.
It's the speed your grandmother would walk.
Oh, would walk.
Yeah. So the granny gear is literally it's like a walking speed. And there's a story of the lens on the top of Mount Wilson, the Wilson Observatory, the lens for the telescope, giant heavy thing, had to go up on a Mack truck, up that truck, and the road up there had to be graded specifically for it, and it moved so slowly, but it was like this compound low granny gear, and it was literally walking. The workers could walk around the truck as it was going. They'd clear rocks and make sure it had a clear, and there were no, at that time, these weren't pneumatic tires. They were thick rubber bands around steel wheels, but it was so heavy and it was going at such an incline that it was basically granny gearing, and it took 2 days to make the climb. So wow. Yeah, you can, as an earlier comment had said, it can be a 4-speed with granny, or it can be a 3-speed with granny.
And we brought this up while you were on the call.
Yes.
The car collection went for $12,000.
$12,000.
And it's going to a museum.
Yes. They're very excited about it. And I think there's going to be a lot of interest in this as it starts to sort of find its final display and all that. But we're working with the folks right now to see when they're going to come pick it up. And our friend Norm from Ireland, he has a few from the mid-'80s still in the boxes. Don't open those boxes, because even the mid-'80s ones are valuable, including Corgi. Corgi cars are quite valuable from the 80s, especially with their boxes. Many collectors take them out of the box, display them in plastic cases, and save the boxes. So they can be worth more than what you paid for them. Certain Corgi, Matchbox, and Hot Wheel cars will be worth a lot from the 80s, and some will be worth little. It depends on how many were made and how well they sold. The poorest selling ones have the least amount of production, so those tend to be the most desirable, which is strange. But yes, check your attic, check your toy collections. You'd be surprised some of the interesting. I read a statistic some years ago that the average 80-year-old has a half a dozen to 10 highly valuable items in their home without knowing it. And
interesting.
Yeah. And when they said they qualified highly valuable, because they said it's something that you or I would look at and see in a garage sale and go, this is junk, and toss it out. Or how much is this thing? You can have that for $5. Nah, it's not worth it. And it ends up being a $500 item. There are numerous stories of people buying things for very little money and selling them for astronomical amounts. Not that long ago, I helped my wife clearing out stuff from her grandparents' place, and I found a tiny little folded paper menu, and it was a menu from
the Titanic,
a train ride they took from New York all the way across to California, and it was an 1870 something train ride, and it was in perfect condition, like it had been saved, squirreled away. And I thought, well, this is kind of cool because I like trains and, they've got wheels. So I like anything with wheels. And my wife said, you know what, just donate it to a train museum. And I said, well, I'll sell it on eBay. So I put it up on eBay and I thought, well, maybe $10, $15, whatever. So there's something fun. It's over $100.
Wow.
Yeah. And the guy that bought it was a vintage train enthusiast. He couldn't wait to get it. He was very excited about it. And he specifically collected train dining stuff. So he had the napkins that he collected, he had the silverware, he had the menus, he had, all of this stuff, including chef's notes, train orders, where the station would stop to get their food delivered into the train car, all kinds of little details associated with dining cars. That was his specialty. So you never know.
Everybody's got a specialty in something.
That's right.
And speaking of specialties, it's after 11. We went over an hour today.
Oh my!
Went by quickly. Raffi's got other cars. We'll talk about them next week. I've got to check on the Fiero today because, like I said, I might have mentioned it had a little bit of mold in it from sitting. It got a little water damage.
Yes.
During a little bit of a flood that happened not too long ago when it was at a repair shop. And it might be time to strip it down and turn it into a Ferrari.
There you go.
See if I find one of those kit cars. But other than that, Monday on the Aradan Film Festival, we're doing Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, because why not? Why not just complete the set?
Doubling down.
We'll be talking about that. And then the TV show Fringe we'll be talking about the following week. And very sadly, one of the stars of Fringe passed away yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Lance Reddick, who was Lieutenant Broyles in all the episodes. Very, very good actor. And very sad. They said
it was natural causes, but he was 60 years old. So
it might have been a heart attack.
Yeah.
He was home alone. Very sad.
Yeah.
But and he was in John Wick, and he was in The Wire, and
well-known actor.
Bosch. He played the mayor of LA in Bosch.
Yep.
Anyway, Bosch, a great show too, by the way. I recommend it very highly on Amazon. And that's it.
All right. Well, we will see you next time.
All right. Bye, everybody.